Wow! What's happening, everybody? That's right, we back. It's Monday. Welcome to Let's Talk with Stanley Doucette. I am here, your host, and man, all I could do is say, I have another great one for you. That's right, another great one for you. Before we get started into anything, I actually just want to talk to everybody today. Welcome to, first of all of our guests, all of our first time visitors, all of the individuals that's just logging in for the very first time, or even perhaps the second time. I just want to tell you guys welcome. We have an incredible amount of fun with Let's Talk. We have some empowering moments. We have some very deep moments. We have some very joyful moments. But we're going to touch every part of your senses, every part of the love that you have. We're just going to have a lot of fun. Now, all that's out the way. Shout out to all of our returning family members that listen to us every week. Thank you guys so very much. I thank you for sharing your time with me, and just overall, it just also, giving me hope, just continuously making me smile every single week. This week, man, this one's gonna be a little personal, right? This one's gonna be a little personal for your boy. This week, this week I'm actually going to be talking more so from a personal standpoint. Yeah, I'm looking around, I'm a little nervous. But we're going to be talking a little bit from a personal standpoint. The title, for everybody that's wondering, is just simply Be Yourself. That's the title. It's that simple. It's just be yourself, right? Now, inside of that, though, because that could be so broad, but I want to go a little bit further in some things that I kind of, back in the day, I had some issues with. Yeah, I wasn't, I'm nervous, y'all. This one, ooh-wee. So check this out. If we did a subtitle, right, it would simply be From Needing Approval to Becoming Unshakable. Yeah. From needing approval to becoming unshakable. Man, let me ask you guys a question. Who are you living for? Let me say that again. Who are you living for? Not who do you say you're living for, but who you actually make your decisions. Who actually make your decisions. Think about that. So if you ask yourself the question, let me do it again, right? Who are you living for? Not who do you say you're living for, who actually makes your decisions. Is it your values or is it people's opinion? Let me pause there and just share this with you guys. Ooh, I'm being vulnerable today with y'all. I had a long time in my life where I made decisions based on people's opinion. Let me say that again. Stanley, your boy, the host, me, I made decisions based on people's opinion. Yeah. I feel uncomfortable already. And we just starting. But I wanted to be vulnerable today. I wanted to share with you guys earnestly. I wanted to open it up and share that because there's so many people are doing just that. I mean, a lot of people are doing just that. How many times have you stayed quiet because you didn't want to upset anyone? Like, you just didn't want to upset anyone, so you just stayed quiet. You knew it was wrong, whatever it was, but you stayed quiet because you didn't want to go against the grain. You just went with everybody else. How many times have you said yes when every single thing in your entire body was screaming, no, don't do that? But we said yes anyway, right? Somebody asked us to take them for a ride or to drop them off somewhere, and everything in your body was saying, no, don't go take a ride. And then something happened. How How many dreams have we delayed because we were worried about what someone else might think? Man, ooh wee. I can give you stories on stories on stories for that. But let me give you those three questions again because I want us to really dig into ourselves today. This is not about everybody else today. This is about us. If you guys ever hear me preach somewhere, I always say don't touch your neighbor, touch yourself. Don't touch your neighbor today. Touch you. This is about you. So let me just say this. How many times have you stayed quiet because you didn't want to upset anyone else, or you didn't want anybody to be upset with you, right? So how many times have you stayed quiet because you didn't want anyone to be upset with you? How many times have you said yes when you know inside your entire everything was saying no? Was saying no, but you still said yes. Why? How many dreams have you delayed because you were worried about what someone else might think? Think about this. When I first started in business, right? I had this, what do you call it? Jumpers, I don't know, spacewalks, what we used to call them in New Orleans, whatever. The bounce houses, to get the kids in there, you blow it up, kids in there, they're bouncing till they silly. Now they got all the fancy ones, the water slide ones, you can bounce and jump in water. But mine was just simple, right? I had two, but I didn't think it all the way through. But I was saying, I'm going to be in business. And then people were telling me, oh, you're going to be great in this, and this. But something inside of me was like, Stanley, you're not quite ready yet. And realized I wasn't. So I had to go and get a vehicle, a truck, so I can transport the actual spacewalks in. I didn't think it all the way through in terms of the pricing. I didn't think it all the way through with so many other things, and I had to wind up selling. I lost my shirt with the business, but I just was not thinking, right? Now, how does that worry about what other people was thinking? Because I was so amped on, I'm going to be a businessman, and people are going to look at me this way and look at me that way. See, I was focused on what other people were going to say and not really digging into me. And then I have everything in place. So how many businesses have we destroyed? How many visions have we destroyed? How many times have we did something or wanted to do something and we were worried about somebody else did? I remember I got started in network marketing way back in the day, right? And everybody was like, I hate network marketing, but yet at the same time, it did some phenomenal things for me and my family. As a matter of fact, in my wedding, I had people in my wedding that was in network marketing. No, I'm no longer married anymore, but I still had people from different parts of the country in my wedding. That's how close it was. But if I would have listened to people, I would not have met those individuals, right? So there's so many different things that go to that. Don't worry, I'm gonna give y'all some more, but I was just sharing that. Most people aren't living their own lives. I was not. I really wasn't. I wasn't living my own lives. I was managing everyone else's expectations. That's what I was doing. I was literally managing everyone else's expectations, and they don't even know it. I mean, people didn't even know it. Today we're going to talk, something about that prayerfully that's going to change your life. How to stop giving away your power. That's a big one. Stop giving away your power. No, it's not because you're arrogant, and it's not becoming arrogant. It's not becoming selfish. It's not any of those negative things, but by becoming unshakable. That's the difference. So becoming arrogant, nope. Becoming selfish, nope. But becoming unshakable is something deep. So if you got something to write something down with, or you just want to receive this one and then go back later and listen to it, that's great. But I can assure you, this one is powerful. I'm traveling too, so I don't have my normal setup, but I wanted to make sure every single person got this one because I thought it was just powerful, right? So let's write down number 1 or chapter 1 or verse 1 or whatever you want to say. So number 1, approval. I'm saying this and I'm just breathing, right? Approval is like a drug, all right? if we're being honest with ourselves, every one of us want to be accepted. If we're being honest, it's human. Like all of us want to be, want to be accepted, in something. We all want to belong. We all want to feel seen. We all want to matter. The problem isn't wanting connection. That's not the problem. The problem is when acceptance becomes an addiction. That's a problem. if you out there and you put in some work, of course you want to see your work to be seen. Of course you want to be a part of that whatever $1 million club. Yes, nothing wrong with that. But when it becomes the acceptance the acceptance becomes the addiction more than anything else, now that's where we got a problem, right? Because addicts will sacrifice almost anything for another hit. Think about this. When I was on the police department, and there was sometimes I would talk to, unfortunately, individuals that was just addicted to drugs. This when crack first started. I don't want to say first started, but crack was prevalent in the late 90s, early 90s, all these other places. But when I was on the street in the late 90s, man, it was like, why you keep doing this? And it was like they couldn't stop. They couldn't stop. I mean, they were sacrificing, in a lot of cases, everything just to get that hit one more time, right? If you won something, was trying to get that hit one more time. I'm going to do something that most people don't want to think about. See, most people will talk about alcohol, we'll talk about sex, we'll talk about stuff like that. But let me give you one thing. This good. Let me give you one thing that most people don't think about. Some people are addicted to sex, not because of love, not because of connection, not because of anything. They're trying to get back to that original orgasm that they had. And they're always trying to get back to that original orgasm. So an addict, whether it's sex, whether it's drugs, whether it's alcohol, trying to still get back to that original hit. The question is, in everything that we're talking about, is approval our drug? You have to ask yourself that question. Is being approved our drug? Now, let me stop everybody here and say this. You can say whatever you want behind the scenes, nobody there, and you can lie to yourself, because that's who we lie to the most is ourselves. We can do all of those things. But if you want to be honest, you can always answer that question yourself. Is approval my drug? Is approval my drug? Like you can chase, whether you chasing alcohol, whether you chasing money, you taking success, all of those things, many people chase approval. I'm telling you, as myself, I would be upset if somebody didn't say I did a good job at, I don't know what it is, cutting grass. I needed that approval. I know, because I was that person. I wanted everybody to like me. Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm wide open today. I wanted everybody to like me. I wanted everybody to think I was doing a good job, right? When I was on the police department, man, I was doing, when I say I was doing my thing, I was doing my thing. I was bringing people to jail. I was writing citations. Summonses. It didn't matter. If you broke the law and I was there on the scene and I had the evidence to do it or what have you, it was going to go according. Now, never broke the law. I ain't talking about breaking the law. I'm talking about being according to what the law. I was doing my job. I was out there working hard. And I was having fun doing it, right? But here's the thing. I did all of that really for the approval of other people. I did all of that really because I wanted people to say you're doing a good job. Now, some people may say, well, did you get that connected with your passion for success? Well, did I make it my approval? Success. Did I make success my drug? Did I make approval my drug? See, all of that stuff, I had to really go back and think about it. And yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. See, people say like, oh, you work hard and oh, you're doing great. That's great, but that's not a compliment. That ain't a compliment. The janitor could work hard. The garbage truck man could work hard. The police officer could work hard. The assistant, the I don't call him secretary, the administrative assistant, they can work hard. All that's good. That's not giving. That's not a compliment. You just working hard. Okay, great. But how was the impact? But I get to that another day, right? And as I'm doing that, I wanted to climb the ladder, so I didn't want to lose my job. I didn't want to disappoint anyone. I thought if I made everybody happy, I'd finally feel secure, which I didn't. I mean, if I was making everybody happy and tickled and all that stuff, I just knew I was going to feel great and secure. I was exhausted trying to do this and do that, all that stuff. Because when your peace depends on everyone else's opinion, your peace is always temporary. Let me say that again. When your peace depends on everyone else, your peace is always temporary. Y'all write that down. When your peace depends on everyone else's opinion, your peace is always temporary. It is what it is. It's always temporary. All right. Let me get to number 2. Chapter 2, number 2, verse 2, whatever 2 you want to say. Where did this come from? Yeah, where did this come from? Nobody woke up one morning and decided to become a people pleaser, right? You ain't want to do that. Ain't want to do that. It starts long before adulthood, just long before adulthood. As children, we're always constantly learning, not math, not reading. We're learning how to survive emotionally. Some of you guys know I was raped when I was young, right? So I had to even, massage through all of that. So some of us even learn, if I'm good, they'll love me. And that's what I was writing on, because when I went through that horrific ordeal, I was like, I must have did something wrong. So let me just go into a place where I want everybody to accept me. And I don't want to cause any problems. I want to achieve more than others, because I want to be seen as the good guy or the good person. As a matter of fact, I've dated some people. I've literally had people say, I can't date you because you're too perfect. Are you kidding me? I'm like, okay, I'm real confused at this point. But I was doing everything, and it just seemed like everything just kept slapping me back in my face. See, I never realized I stopped becoming myself. Regardless of what you want to say, I never realized I stopped becoming myself. I became a performer. And that was a tragedy. I literally became a performer. Recently, I think it was last week or whatever, ESPN, some people say fired, some people say laid off, however you want to say it, Ryan Clark, right? And I was looking at his interview on The Pivot. And yeah, he's from New Orleans, and shout out to Ryan Clark and his family and everybody. But I was listening to the interview. But one of the things he said that struck me, it struck me to my core. And he said, I think the question was asked, would you do anything different? He said, probably would, so many, blah, blah, blah. Y'all go look at the actual interview on YouTube. Just look up Pivot and you'll see it. So here was the thing. When he went back through all of those different things, and he was talking about some incident happened, and all of the supervisors, I don't call them bosses. I only got one boss, and that's God. But that's another story. I ain't going to get into all of those things. So he was talking with all of those supervisors and directors and VPs and all those people. They had told him he had to go back and apologize for whatever it was, right? That he had to go back and apologize. He said, that's something I didn't want to do, but he wanted to keep his job. He was people performing, right? And he said he did it even though he didn't want to, but he did it. And he loved what he was doing. He was, so on and so forth. And then finally he said he had got to a point where he was like, I only can do so much. But you can see him starting to rise again inside of himself. Yeah, y'all wanted me to do this, and I'm doing everything I can to be in the place and to please you guys and to do what y'all want, and so on and so on. And I was the number one analyst, and I was the this, and I was the that, and all of that great stuff. And yet at the same time, he got fired. The part that struck me was as he was saying that, and he said he got fired, was this. He was not even being himself and got fired. And the totality, even if you gave a little bit of something you shouldn't, it was like, my goodness, how many of us are not truly being ourselves? How many of us are at the job or at your church or at your mosque or at your sports company or at your own building or whatever it is, your real estate company, and you're not being yourself? And then something happens and then you lose that. You have to be yourself. See, the other part that struck me was I started thinking some people are not going to like us anyway. So it's one or two things. You can placate to them and try to get them to like you, or you can just be yourself, be the original. Now, I hear people listening to the podcast and they're saying, oh, I'm always myself. And stop lying. Stop lying. Stop lying. We all have to go through something, right? Now, you may be at that point now where you're always yourself, but stop lying. We pulling the covers off of all of this. Stop lying. It was a tragedy when I was performing for everybody else. I've had the opportunity to converse with some people about relationships. We've had we've had podcasts, we've had Zoom calls, we've had in-person meetings, all of these different things talk about relationships. And a lot of times when we get to counseling people, they're not really being themselves. Why they're not being themselves? They're not thinking that, oh, I'm not good enough to get somebody else, or they want to do everything because they like that person, but that person just shunning them, but they're not really being themselves. People are attracted to power. I'm not talking about the negative power and the selfish power and the projected power. I ain't talking about that. But when you have a certain something about inside of yourself and you're real confident in who you are, they have that draw to you, right? I'm going to get back to what we were talking about, but just to be yourself, man, it is something special. And then also there's a freeing that comes into that. I'm talking about truly being free. If I don't know, I'll make up a name. If Judy came to me and said she liked me and all of these other things and I don't like her, but everybody say, oh my gosh, she's so gorgeous, she's so pretty, she's so cute, she's so fine, and all of these other accolades, and I'm like, okay, that's cool with her. Well, you ain't gonna ever get nobody else like that. I don't believe you. See, you cannot project your negativity or your thoughts or how you feel onto me. I heard Jay-Z say that. Somebody else told, I think it was Uncle or somebody said, oh, you'll never be able to sell X amount of records. And he did that a gazillion times, right? That came out of his own mouth. So here's my question. What are you believing? Are you still placating to other people, or are you going to be yourself? Who taught me that my value had to be earned? Who taught me that? Think about that. Who taught us that our value had to be earned? Who taught us that? Who taught us that? Let me go to number 3. Let me stay on point, because I can feel, as they say, I can feel my help coming. All right, number 3. The cost of giving away your power. Let's pay attention to this, because we don't want to give away our power. We want to keep our power. Giving away your power doesn't happen in one big decision. That's true. It happens in small moments. Every time you ignore your intuition, every time you apologize for existing, every time you tolerate disrespect because you're afraid to be alone, every time you betray yourself just to keep someone else comfortable. Man, I could scream, run down the street, jump out the window with joy, because that's exactly a lot of things that I did. That's exactly some of the things I did. Every time you ignore your intuition, how many times have I done that? Every time you apologize for existence, I'm sorry. You're just defeated. Every time you apologize for existence, every time you tolerate disrespect, because you're afraid to be alone. Man, listen, I could write a whole 7 series books on that because I was afraid to be alone. I was tolerating disrespect. I was tolerating submitting. And I'm not talking about submitting in a good way. I was tolerating, I'll say it a different way, shrinking. I was just shrinking. Yeah, I was getting it in. Every time I betrayed myself just to keep other people happy. Man. And then now when you don't do it, people think something wrong with you. Or you don't, oh my God, you're mean. No, I'm not. But I'm not going to, belittle myself or betray myself because you won't have sex and I ain't having sex with you. Stop. Yeah, I told you I'm wide open today. You're going to get it all. So here it is. Those moments add up. Just all that stuff, those moments add up. And then one day you look in the mirror and you realize you don't even know who you are anymore. Because you're doing this for the fraternity, you're doing that one for the sorority, you're doing that from the police department, you're doing that for that organization, you're doing that one for that business, you're doing that one for that female, you're doing that for that male, you're doing that for your mama, you're doing that for your daddy, you're doing that for your aunt, your uncle. All of that stuff, you don't even know who you are anymore. People pleasing isn't kind. It just is not kindness. It's fear. Let me say that again. People pleasing isn't kindness, it's fear. And fear is a terrible life coach. Let me say that so you guys will get this. People pleasing isn't kindness, it's fear. And fear is a terrible life coach. Let me do number 4. The wake up call. Ring the bell. So, y'all remember them old alarm clocks, and it used to be loud, and it just, you can wind it up, and you set your alarm, wind it up, and boy, when it go off, it wakes the neighbor's house. I mean, them things was just, ugh. Anyway, I'm setting that alarm right now for everybody. Think about this. Never give away your power. A particular, very, very important person in my life told me, never give away your power. Never. Stand 10 toes on that thing, but never give away your power. At first, I thought power meant controlling other people. I couldn't have been more deceived, wrong, inaccurate, incorrect, right? Power is controlling yourself. This is so good. Power is controlling yourself. Power is choosing yourself. Power is choosing your response instead of reacting. See, there are some people I've had some disagreements with, and before I would slap, I would just slap, go off. But then as you got out of that old stuff of pleasing other people, and you start now choosing your proper response instead of reacting. See, when you start to have that control, can't nobody control you. Can't nobody take your power. Power is knowing your worth without needing someone else to confirm it. I know I'm great. I don't need you to come confirm I'm great. I don't need you to come say I'm articulate. I know that. Now, I don't go off as being arrogant. I don't go off as being conceited or any of those other things. I just stand in my truth. If that affects you or alarms you, that's on you. That's not on me. That's on you. That's not on me, because I don't go around trying to be more than. I just want to be me. I just stand in me. And that's all we do. Power stands on your principles when standing alone would be easier. Power is standing on your principles when standing alone would be easy. Stand on your principles. Regardless of this, stand on your principles. Principles. Stand on them. Here's a question I want to ask. Yeah, It's not. I know this may be like, oh, guys, this ain't exciting, but this podcast is revealing things to people in every corner of the world. But let me ask you guys this question: how much of my life have I been living for me, and how much have I been living for approval? Let me read that again. Let me speak that out loud. Let me say it slowly. How much of my life have I been living for me? How much of my life have I been living for approval? Are you living for yourself? Are you living for you? Or are you living for approval? That's something you have to think about. That's something you have to think about. Let's go to number 5. Let's go to number 5, and then we're gonna climb. I think 5 or 6, and then we're gonna climb on out of here. But let's go to number 5. Now let's take back our power. We have done everything for everybody else, right? And I can't even express to you guys the freedom that I have when I took my power back. It didn't matter. You can be mad, cut up. I don't have a girlfriend. You gotta go. All that don't even matter. You have a boyfriend. You don't have a boyfriend. For all of my female friends and family members, whether you married, I got a husband. I don't have a husband. I got a wife. I don't have a wife. It don't even matter, right? Because you have to take your power back. Now remember, this is not gonna happen overnight. So don't think, oh, I'm gonna just say, oh, I'm gonna take my power back, and then poof, it's there. But it happens one decision at a time. Stop asking everyone for permission. Oh, can I be great? Go be great. Stop trusting yourself more than you trust opinions. Start trusting yourself more than you trust opinions. See, opinions, everybody have them. They're going to give you their opinion. That does not make it facts or truthful. They'll give you their opinion. I think you should pay this bill first and not that bill. Well, who gave you the right to tell me what I should do with my money or my business? Or you understand what I mean, right? Understand boundaries aren't walls. Just remember that. Boundaries aren't walls, they are doors. Boundaries are not walls, they are doors. The right people will knock, I promise you, on everything. The wrong people will complain. They can't walk. They can't walk in anymore. They can't be around anymore. You know, everybody negative always talking. But I've noticed that everybody that's successful is working. And I'm not talking about for somebody else or a job. They're working. They're working towards the future. They're working towards their greatness. They're working to be all of that. That's who they are. That's who they became. They snatched their power back, and now they're walking in that space. Stop explaining yourself. Every explanation is often another attempt to gain approval. Woo! My goodness. Every explanation is often another attempt to gain approval. Sometimes the strongest sentence you'll ever say is no. Let's practice this. Everybody, on the count of 3, we all going to just say no. All right? 1, 2, 3. No. And here's the thing. Not only do you say no, but you say it without guilt and without apology. No, I'm not doing that. Well, why not? I'm not doing it. Oh, well, you know, listen, I don't care what you do, who you call, and whatever, and how you think. I am not doing that without guilt, without apology. And then finally, accept this truth. Some people won't like you. Some people won't like the new you. They just won't like you. I don't think it's the new you, though. I think it's the real you. They won't like the real you, how you truly feel. See, when we put on all of these fake things and these fake garbs and these fake clothes and these fake shorts or whatever, right? We put on all of these masks. But when you truly become you, people ain't gonna like you. You can walk in the room. People ain't gonna like you. Listen, I walk in rooms sometime, and I know there's a couple of people that don't like me, but ain't nothing they can do about it. because I stand in my power. You can't even climb and even smell the air where I am. Yeah. Yeah. But that's a far cry from when I used to be like begging for approvals. Why I can't be? No, we ain't doing that. No, I ain't doing that. Period. Any problem? Oh, you fired. Okay, thank you. Goodbye. That's it. Without apology, without guilt. Just say no. If it's in your gut, or as I like to say, it's in your shana, just say no. Keep it moving. See, the old you was easier to control. The old you was easy to control. Oh, you say a couple of things. Okay. But guess what? I remember God telling me this. I was saying something about my ex. And I was, thinking like, oh God, this and this. And finally he said, that is not your responsibility anymore. Woo! I want to scream just on that. Here's why I say that. How many people here that's listening are still carrying responsibilities that's not yours anymore? Ooh. If you still carry a responsibility that's not yours, yeah, you need to let that luggage go because it's not yours. Let it go. Let it go. All right? Let me do number 6. Number 6. This is when you become unshakable. Now, I want to make sure I'm clear on this. Just because you become unshakable, that doesn't mean nothing hurts you, right? There's sometimes you may say no and it still may hurt, but you'll get past that. And sometimes you may want to go in the room, but they don't invite you. Okay, I understand. Sometimes you may want to be invited to the cookout. They didn't invite you. Okay, I understand. But you'll get past that. It's not saying just because you're unshakable, but you're standing on your principles. My principles say this, so I'm not, I'm move on, right? So keep that in mind. Being unshakable does not mean nothing hurts you. It means nothing owns you, right? That's what it means. It means nothing owns you. Criticism doesn't own you. Rejection doesn't own you. Failure doesn't own you. Success doesn't own you. Praise doesn't own you. You become anchored. For me, I'm anchored at the cross. I ain't gonna get, I'm sorry, y'all. Come on back, Stan. I'm just saying, I'm anchored at the cross, right? I'm anchored under the blood. That's where I'm anchored. Other people may be anchored in other places, but that's where I'm anchored. You must get anchored in your proper place. Ask your creator where to be anchored. I know where I'm anchored, but do you know where you're anchored? Not in people's opinion. Please don't get anchored there. But in your identity. You know who you are. You know what you stand for. You know what you'll never compromise. That's real confidence. I'm not going to compromise with this. I don't care how mad you get, how upset you could. I throw bricks, walls. I'm not compromising with that. That's your real confidence. Not thinking you're better than anyone else, because I don't go around with that whole energy. I'm better than someone else. Matter of fact, I stay extremely humble. But no longer, knowing you will no longer, let me say that again, no longer, knowing you will no longer have to prove your worth to anybody, right? My chair almost fell all over. But I'm just keeping it 100, right? The real confidence is not thinking you are better than anyone else. Stay incredibly humble. But this is what you must know. Know you will no longer have to prove your worth to anyone, right? I believe one of the greatest gifts God gives us is identity. Not identity based on performance, not identity based on popularity, identity based on purpose. I know I've talked to you guys a lot about purpose, but what's your purpose? The world says become who people want. God simply says, become who I created. Ooh, we. If the world is saying become who people want, that's still, you still got to do stuff what people want, and you're still being controlled by people and their opinions. But God said, become who I created. Those two are two totally different lives. I prefer to become who He created me to be. What say you? What say you? Let me challenge you guys on something. This week, pay attention. Pay attention. This week, pay attention. Notice every moment you feel the need to prove yourself. Notice every unnecessary apology. Notice every time fear makes a decision instead of value. Pay attention that where your power has been leaking. So pay attention. Notice every time you feel you need to prove yourself, every time you make an unnecessary apology, every time you make a decision based on the fear and not on your values. That's where your power has been leaking. That's where you've been letting it go. All right. Now, after you figure that out, then let's just choose differently. One conversation, one boundary, one decision, one courageous moment at a time. You don't have to build it all at once. I'm going to tell you guys something. Let me tell you guys a story real quick. Just to kind of anchor this in. Let me tell you guys a story. I remember we were in the police department, and we were in a particular specialized unit, right? And we worked Monday through Friday, and we were off Saturday and Sunday. And then crime started picking up or what have you. Then they was like, hey, you got some overtime, so you could work from, and I forgot the time. Let's say from 7 to 12, right? Half a day, not a long time at all, or 8 to 12, whatever it was, right? And we could go there and work, but the specialized unit was just all because the sergeant was making us come to work and work 4 hours of overtime. And I can't believe this. And we want all of our Saturday off. Mind you, everybody didn't work. It was, some people worked this week, some people worked that week. So everybody didn't work those 4 hours. So they decided to write a letter. Yeah, to the commanding officer. And they had everybody go around and sign it, right? Sign it, this is what we want, sign. They got to me, and it was like, hey, Stanley, we got this going, and everybody in the station have signed except you. I was like, sign what? And so they showed me the little letter they wrote up, and And they gave it to me. I'm good, pimp. I'm okay. I'm not doing that. Now keep this in mind. Everybody in the specialized unit have signed it to give to the commanding officer about our supervisor, our sergeants, right? I was the only one that didn't sign. I was the only one in that unit that did not sign. The only one. Now, courageous, yeah. Because some of you guys know, sometimes people in the police department, if you don't go with the whole group, that's courageous in and of itself. Now people don't want to come back you up. There's all kind of stuff that can go on, right? But I was like, I'm not doing that. That's not where I'm at. I was courageous, yes, but I had to stand on my principles. I had to stand in that thing. Now, when I did it, everybody was like, why you ain't sign? I didn't sign because that ain't where I'm at. I'm not with y'all on this. You got to stand. How many of the things have you stood on? So we have to stand on something. I was going to say stand for something or fall for anything, right? But you have to stand for something. So now where I am, I'm no longer trying to fit into rooms I was never meant to shrink inside. I'm not shrinking myself. If I'm going somewhere, it's like, yeah, I'm good. Y'all, whatever. I'm not shrinking, right? I don't need anyone to agree with me. Just like the letter they signed, I didn't sign them. I don't need to be with y'all. I don't need everyone to applaud me. I don't need everyone to understand me. Because I finally understand me. Yes, me. And when I know who you are, you stop negotiating your value. You stop living for approval. You stop giving away your power. And then the moment you become unshakable. And that's the moment when you become unshakable, right? Let me give y'all this quote. Write this one down. It's 6 words. It's 6 words. That's it. It's 6 words. Approval is rented. Identity is owned. Let me say that again. Approval is rented. Identity is owned. That's good. Never let fear of losing people become the reason you lose yourself. Never let the fear of losing people become the reason you lose yourself. Think about this. Let me give y'all 7 quick things to reclaim yourself. I just want you to just seven things to reclaim yourself. No, number 1, approval. Number 2, awareness, understanding, decision, boundaries, identity, unshakable. Those are what we talked about today, right? Those 7, right? But I wanted to break those down so you can understand. Approval, I need everyone to like me. Awareness, I've been living for everyone else. Understanding, I know where this pattern comes from. Decision, I refuse to live this way anymore. Boundaries, I stop negotiating my values. What did I say? Boundaries? Okay. 6, identity, I know who I am. And 7, unshakable, I don't need permission to be myself. Yep. Let me give y'all those 7 stages to reclaiming your power. Let me give them to you again, right? Free knowledge. Number 1, approval. I need everyone to like me. Number 2, awareness. I've been living for everyone else. 3, understanding. I know where this pattern comes from. 4, decision. I refuse to live this way anymore. 5, boundaries. I stop negotiating my value. 6, identity. I know who I am. 7, unshakable. I don't need permission to be myself. Now, guys, when you think about that, you put all that together, man, it gets real, real good. Join me on YouTube, family. Join me on YouTube. We have a lot of fun on YouTube. Y'all can send me some questions on YouTube. I'll go to letstalkwithstanleydoucette.com. Shoot me a message, an email, or whatever. Holla at your boy so we can get all of this stuff taken care of and done. And we want to keep growing and growing and growing. I love you guys. I'm going to conclude right here. But let's talk. Let's talk. Shoot me a message on letstalkwithstanleyd@gmail.com. Shoot me a message there, or go to letstalkwithstanleydoucette.com. Shoot me a message there. I want to hear from you guys. Holla at your boy. Matter of fact, hit it today. Like, what is it going on? Going on 3 o'clock Eastern. Shoot me something, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. It don't matter. Shoot your boy something. So I want to hear from you guys. So with that being said, we're going to close out here. I love each and every one of you. And I will see you guys on the beaches of the world. God bless. This will conclude our podcast for this evening. I'll see y'all next week on Let's Talk with Stanley Doucette. We out. Peace.